So we've had a number of questions recently about how you would deal with wrestling takedowns or how you deal with takedowns in MMA. So specifically looking at an MMA wrestling context of Wing Chun versus those styles, perhaps, I don't know. But those have been the questions thrown out. Of course, this isn't a style v style and saying this is better and that's better video. We're just trying to get across some of the concepts of how we would deal with it. And considering we do a lot of San Shou training and we do a lot of wrestling training and grappling ourselves, I think we've got a good lot of experience to be able to give some advice on this. So listen in. So if we're going to discuss how to avoid the takedown, what I want to do is try to get across a couple of simple concepts of how the takedown occurs. Takedowns don't just happen, wrestlers don't just shoot, they actually set it up. They set it up with snap downs, they set it up by turning the corner off balancing you, and if it's in an MMA context, they'll set it up with strikes. So it's not just a case that someone's going to stand at one distance and simply run in on you, they'll actually come in behind punches and take you down. So one of the main things that to unravel or how to defend yourself, so unravel the attack in order to defend yourself, is to understand what they're actually going to do is connect themselves to your body. Whether they connect to your leg, whether they drive in on the hips, whether they come in on upper body type control, they're going to connect themselves nice and tight, and that's where we're initially going to start to look at how we deal with the problem. So, looking at the first idea is controlling distance. Any fight revolves around controlling or the ability to control distance. From this position, one of the things I don't want to allow to happen is for my partner to drop in, shoot in, set it up, whatever, come in and get and close that distance. What I want to be able to do is maintain that. So if he's going for my leg, ideally keep my legs out of the way. Okay, first line of defence, keep my legs out of the way. So if he goes for that, just literally move my legs and circle off to the side. Very, very simple idea to do. If he does, however, set it up with a strike and then come in, bang, okay, as he does that from this position, my second idea is to control distance, is to actually try to get some separation between us. So the first concept has to be control distance, and that involves some separation. So another idea and a simple concept within Wing Chun is the three barriers concept, which I mentioned in my elbow striking video in YouTube. And one of them is that if for example, an attack passes the wrist, you rely on your elbow. It's exactly the same in defending a takedown. Say for example, my partner attacks me, and he changes over when he shoots. From here, I sprawl normally to create a space, as I mentioned earlier. I use my arms in the terms of gum cells, so I press him away to keep that space. But sometimes what happens is, the guy's a little bit cleverer, or I get the timing wrong, and as I put my arms out, he shoots his arm up and he continues and he drives. And really with the wrestling takedown, especially in MMA, they'll set up with a strike, they'll change level and then they'll drive forward. So what you need to be able to do is rely on the second barrier as a second line of defence. And that will be, go from here, your elbow. So you'll sprawl your hips back, keep your elbow and create some separation with his arm. So you control one arm, but you use your elbow as a frame, okay, as a position, what we call lance out, to keep his head, to keep head control. As with everything though, this is all ideal, and controlling distance, hand fighting is all in an ideal world. The reality is quite often when someone shoots, especially in MMA, they'll set it up with strikes and they'll come in behind kicks, or you might just drop your guard or lose concentration. Either way, what you may find is a situation where someone actually comes in and they drop and they create this connection with your body that we were talking about earlier. At this stage, the ideas of structure in Wing Chun, and I'm going to use that interchangeably with the idea and the concept of posture, which you'll hear in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's a very, very similar idea. Structure in Wing Chun is connection of all the major joints. So from here, one of the things I don't want to do, and the power, so as he drops in, essentially comes from my waist, from my hips. What I don't want to do is allow my structure to be broken, my posture to be broken. Can you see that? So from here, I really want to try to create a strong posture by driving my hips forward, and then from here create this separation. And what I find is works really well is to control the head. With anybody that creates a shoot, as he shoots, if you can control the head, okay, you can break his structure, but if he gets connectivity with you and he's actually here, then what you need to be able to do is frame, which is this lancel idea we were talking about earlier, kick the leg back, and then what works really well is wrapping your arm underneath and creating lausal, which is a rising arm, and figure of four in your hands together. From here, that will usually strip the other arm off and allow you to get some space and separation, and from there you can strike and you can hit and you can maintain some pressure. Very simple concept. It relates to how we work on structure, and it goes all the way back to our basic stance and Ma in Wing Chun. Okay, so in closing, the best ways to avoid a wrestling takedown or a shoot in MMA is basically to control distance, to hand fight, and to control your structure. And it's not just your structure, it's their structure as well. If you control their head, you'll be able to dominate their posture and make it very, very difficult for them to shoot and take you off balance. I'm Mark Phillips from the London Wing Chun Academy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share and like.